Hey everybody, Ryan F. MG here, and today's a great day because ADA and ADA both came out this morning, and so what are we doing? It is time to do another set review where we talk about each and every card in each and every color, going color by color, and just more or less me giving my first thoughts. I've read most of these cards, but not all the cards, and so yet again, this is my first thoughts. I could be completely wrong in a week, and I'm okay eating my words, or maybe I'm completely right, but it's just kind of to get the brain flowing of what decks I want to start building with. But that's enough about that. There's tons of cards to talk about, well, more or less 100, so let's jump right into it. First off, we are starting with red, and of course we're starting with the units, and there's the legendary. It is A-class Strider. I'm hyped that Strider's in here. Hopefully we'll get a hero of him sooner rather than later, because this guy is super cool. And his legendary is pretty darn powerful. It's 5 MP for a 2/7 with Rush, attacking randomly explore for one option. Option A, Option B, Option C. Now, okay, 5 MP for a 2/7 with Rush, that's good, right? 2/7 will stick around, and Rush is great because, well, attacking trigger will trigger right away, but really, what are those options? All of them have the deal 3 damage to one random enemy unit, and all of them are 1 MP. So right there, that's pretty nice, because it could be 1 MP, deal 3 damage to a random enemy unit, and I'm kind of on board for that, but you get more. Option A says give one friendly unit shield. That's pretty great. Option B says give one friendly unit agility for 10 seconds. So that is basically 2 attack cycles because it has agility. That's pretty good. And then option C says give one friendly unit flight effective for 1 attack. That's pretty darn good. All of these are good. And especially all of these are great with A-class Strider himself because it either gives like shield or flight or agility, so you start racking up the explore over and over and over, and that's kind of what you want to do with this. You want to play like protect the queen with Strider, or well, in this case protect the king, so you just get more of your options and then more 3 damage, more explore triggers and everything. I'm really excited for this legendary and to play around with this because 1, it's Strider and I want to build a Strider deck, and 2, I think this card is very good. Next up is Ryu. All of the heroes are now getting a card also, so that's kind of fun. So we'll see a Ryu, a Rathalos, a Jill, and so on and so forth. But Ryu is 7 MP for 2/7. Ryu has to do a whole lot more. 7 MP is kind of a lot in my mind, because yes, it's not the most expensive. Technically the most expensive is 10, but 7 MP is getting up there. 2/7 body is a lot of HP, not a lot of attack, so it has to do a lot. These words have to mean a lot to me. It has Rush. Okay, Rush is nice, but that's just kind of a one hit punch. One play, deal 5 damage to the unit in front. 5 damage is a lot, especially that it's not random or split. It is directly the unit in front, so you more or less get to target what you want with that 5 damage. That is really good. After dealing damage to the enemy hero, gain +1 attack. So you almost could see this as you play this card, you kill the unit in front, possibly, and then, since it has Rush, it will deal 2 damage and then automatically become a 3/7. All that seems really powerful and really good. My big question, though, is it worth 7 MP? And I'm not quite sure because there's no rotation yet. And I'll say that once, right? All this, we know that there's no rotation until May. And so Standard has all the Teppen cards, and there's a lot of powerful things, and your deck can only have 30 cards in it. So the power level of what a card has to do for the MP, or just for the sake of a card, is kind of high, and I'm not quite sure Ryu gets there. Yes, it does a lot, but it's 7 MP, and there's a lot of 5 or 6 MP plays that maybe are just better, or like a 3 MP play. So I think Ryu is powerful. Maybe this will see like a 1 of play or a 2 of play, but it's not like a win the game right on the spot legendary. Rathalos is up next, 5 MP for a 2/5, flight and rush. Okay, all that sounds pretty good. It has more. After dealing damage to the enemy hero, deal damage to 1 random enemy unit equal to this unit's attack. So I want to throw this into a deck with a lot of ways to pump up attack, because then you're just flying over, you get Rush, and then you're just triggering over and over the dealing damage, 2, 3, 4 damage, depending on how much times you can pump Rathalos' attack. And I'm kind of in. Yes, this is a after dealing damage trigger, not attack trigger. So if they play a flight unit, well, Rathalos kind of has to kill that flight unit, and then it will start dealing the trigger. So it is not just like completely busted or anything, but I'm excited to fly with Rathalos. Jill Valentine is 4 MP for 1/5. That's pretty weak stats for a 4 MP, but not terrible, so it has to do more. One played Explore for Handgun. Handgun is 1 MP, deal 4 damage to an enemy unit, and that's pretty darn good. It might not be a detonation, but it only costs 1 and it's 4 damage, and you get to choose where the damage goes. That's nice. I like that. When exploring, gain the following abilities in order. First, you gain +1 attack. Second, you gain combo, and then no additional. I'm pretty sure that means you play Jill, you explore, Jill automatically right there with that Exploring for Handgun will get the +1 attack, I believe. So right off the bat, you can think of this as a 4 MP 2/5 that you get a handgun. Then, if you get to Explore Gun, it gets combo. I like that, because handgun is a very good thing to explore for, and then this being a 2/5 is a lot better than a 1/5. So I kind of like Jill. Tiger Uppercut is next, or Sagat. I can hear this image. I know I've said this before, but man, I love this image. It is 6 MP for a 3/5 with anti-air. Kind of off this already, but let's see what it says. When played, deal 3 damage to the unit in front and the enemy unit. That's the keyword that I like, and the enemy unit. So this is dealing 6 damage when you play it, and I kind of like that. However, 6 MP, I want a lot of stuff for 6 MP, because 6 MP, anything like 5, anything more than 5, I want a lot, because that's starting to get quite a lot of MP. A 3/5 body for 6 MP is not good. Anti-air might come up sometimes, but I'm kind of going to brush that aside. Dealing 3 damage to the unit in front is nice, however, we get that a lot on 4 MP units. However, we don't get deal 3 damage on top of that to the enemy hero. I'm kind of thinking I know I've tried this in the past of like a Dungeon Ranky burn deck, and I don't mean like a controlling deck, I mean like burn to the face, kind of like Magic Burn, because Magic Burn is one of my favorite decks of all time in any card game. By one of, I mean it probably is, but I've tried to do that in Teppen, and it always kind of falls a little flat. However, Sagat dealing 3 damage, or if you Dungeon Ranky, now it's 4 damage, and you're kind of having some board control and board presence then, that could be really good. In an average red deck, like Great Divine Intervention or just Hadoken, I don't think you're playing Sagat. But, you know I'm going to try out Sagat in a Dungeon Ranky full-on burn strategy. More classic Street Fighter characters. Ken is up next. 4 MP for 1/8. That's a lot of HP, very little attack. With combo, when played, deal 2 damage to the unit in front. Overall, I kind of like this package. 4 MP for 1/8. Yes, I wish there was a little bit more attack, but man, with this amount of HP, Ken will stick around for a long time. For 4 MP, it then deals 2 damage to the unit in front. That's a little bit weaker. Usually for 4 MP, we tend to get 3 damage, you know, give or take, or sometimes it's Rashid or something like that. However, this has combo. So what I'm thinking is this could be really good in a deck that wants to use a lot of actions to pump up your your unit's attack. So yes, you're not necessarily all in on that board control, but this gives you a little board control. And if you're in favor of wanting a low MP, 4 MP is pretty low, combo unit, I think Ken is very good. The Wolf is back. Amaterasu herself, 6 MP for a 2/9. We're seeing a lot of HP in red and little attack, but 6 MP is kind of a lot, but wow, 9 HP is a lot. When placed on the field, give your hero all friendly red units gain +1 attack for 30 seconds. 30 seconds is more or less 3 attack cycles. I don't know how I feel about this card. And maybe it's because it's 6 MP. However, I look at the stats, 6 MP for a 2/9, those stats aren't terrible. I guess my question is, how much does 1 attack go? Because red usually wants to be like all in on 1 or 2 units, or dealing damage to the enemy units. And Amaterasu doesn't really go all in on 1 unit. Like, yes, giving +1 attack to all your red units for 30 seconds is good. Or sorry, all your friendly units is good. Oh, no, it is friendly red units. That is something to note, but I guess that doesn't matter because I just saw 6, it's not 5 MP, so you're not playing this in a dual color deck anyways. So that was just rambling for rambling's sake. However, +1 attack is good, but it's not, +1 attack in agility or spillover. It's going to do some stuff, but not tons of stuff, and it's not dealing any damage. So push comes to shove, I don't think Amaterasu is going to see that much play. Brad is up next. 3 MP for a 2/3 death. Deal 2 damage to one random enemy unit. Then explore for ammo. Ammo is 1 MP. Give +2 attack to a friendly unit. I think explore, especially with Strider, is going to be a big theme. So, is Brad going to make it? 3 MP for a 2/3 is not bad. I do like that it deals 2 damage, and you get ammo. Which ammo is kind of good, right? 1 MP for +2 attack is very good on your finisher of Nash or Strider, whatever your finisher is. So I kind of like that you get an explore trigger and dealing damage, where you usually get one or the other. However, this is a death ability. I really value when played abilities a lot more than death abilities, because you have full control of when you play something. You don't have full control when Brad dies. However, it's 3 HP. This Brad is going to die pretty darn fast, so you can just throw it in front of a big unit or something. So I like that this is giving you a lot just for 3 MP. So sign me up for Colonel is 4 MP for a 3/4 machine. It has Rush. One play deal damage to one random enemy unit equal to the number of friendly units on the field. So it counts itself. So that if you have an empty board and you play him, that would be 1 damage. It could be 2, it could be 3, so it's anywhere from 1 to 3. It has Rush, which is nice. I don't know, though. It's 4 MP for a 3/4 with Rush. Rush is a good mechanic, but like, man, do I love agility and stuff a lot more than Rush, but Rush is good. So 4 MP, 3/4, deal 1 damage? Off that. 4 MP, deal 2 damage? Maybe. 4 MP, deal 3 damage, I'm okay with that, because look at like Slime in a lot of those. 4 MP dealing 3 damage is kind of what we want, or it has to be doing a lot of other things. 3/4 body is not bad, but it's not so much better than any other 4 MP red unit that's dealing 3 damage that I'm okay if this is just dealing 1 damage. And it's kind of same with Rush. So overall, I don't know. The big question is, will machine decks be a thing? If machine decks are a thing, then I like this card. I don't think I'm going to be playing this card in a non-machine deck, and I'm not sure if machines are really going to be a theme. Sakura doing some flying kicks, 3 MP for a 2/3. When played, deal 1 damage to the unit in front and the enemy unit. This is kind of like a mini Sagat, which has me intrigued for a burn Dungeon Ranky deck. So yes, I will be playing Sakura, but outside of that, in like a Great Divine Intervention or a more traditional Ryu or just red deck in general, because I guess Great Divine Intervention is Amaterasu, so it's not all Ryu all the time. 3 MP for a 2/3, dealing 1 damage is okay. This is kind of like an Axel. I believe Axel was a 2/4 though, so you're getting 1 less HP, but you're dealing 1 damage to the enemy hero, which is like a trade-off that I'm not quite sure that you want in your average red deck, but definitely a trade-off that I 100% want in a burn deck. Up next, we're getting some monster territory. 5 MP for a 2/8. Yet again, tons of HP, not a lot of attack. What is this doing? After taking damage and surviving, deal 2 damage to one random enemy unit. So my question is, 5 MP for a 2/8, that's pretty good stats, right? I like that this has a lot of HP, because that means it will be taking quite a bit of damage before it dies. How many triggers, though, do I want to get with this in order for me to like this more than a Slime or something like that? And I would say 2, because 1 trigger is only 2 damage, and I don't like that. 2 triggers is 2 plus 2, that's 4. That's getting pretty darn good. Then if you get 3 triggers, that's 6 damage. That's a lot. So overall, getting 2 triggers off this seems pretty good. And, this dodge is like Fate of the Unworthy, stuff like that. I could see playing this card. Carlos, 3 MP for a 2/4. When played, if your explore count is 3 or higher, gain +2 attack. So this is a explore payoff. It's not exploring or anything like that. This is a payoff. And of course, it has the 3 or more, like Jill Antibody Activation, Nash, a lot of those things. So if you're not an explore deck, you're not playing at 3 MP for a 2/4, 100%. If you're explore deck and you have the payoff, this would be a 3 MP 4/4. I still don't think you're playing that. Yes, 3 MP for a 4/4 is way above rate, but you have better payoffs that might be 4 or 5, and you kind of want a lot of your 3 MP or then either 4 MP plays to be exploring, so then you're getting to that 3 threshold. So I don't really feel like Carlos is going to find a home. Tyrell Patrick is 3 MP for 2/4. When it dies, you explore for Handgun. Handgun is 1 MP, deal 4 damage to an enemy unit. Handgun's a really good thing to explore for. I've already said that in this video. Yes, it is still a death trigger, and like I've said also before, is I really like when played or when attacking stuff like that a little bit more than death, but this will probably die, and then you explore for Handgun. I like this, especially that's 3 MP play. Will you play this over Hellbat? No, I think Detonation is still better, but Handgun's really, really good, and if you want some more 3 MP plays, I think I like Tyrell more than a lot of the other 3 MP plays. Time to talk about the red action, starting with the legendaries. Of note, a lot of sets have 2 legendary units and then 1 legendary action. Some sets switch that up, like I think Haunted by Memory was 1 legendary unit and then 2 legendary actions. This set is the same, so there it will be 2 of them. First up is Collapse. It is 3 MP with Strider doing some Strider things, dealing 5 damage. It says deal 5 damage to all units, your units and enemy units. For each unit destroyed by this damage, that unit's controller hero gains Arc Charge 2. This is a very interesting card. This does a lot of damage, right? Tons of damage. But there is a downside that if you kill 3 of your opponent's things, they get 6 Arc Charge. That's a lot. However, you spent 1 card to kill 3 of their things. I think that's a fair trade, pretty sure. But it's also a downside that it can kill your own things. However, if it kills your own things, you get some satisfaction of knowing, well, then I Arc Charged a little bit. Overall, I think this card's really powerful. It is 3 MP. 3 MP is not a lot at all. And this is dealing, even if there's only 1 enemy unit on board, you have nothing on board, and it's like a 2/4 and you kill it, I think that's still worth it. So like worst case scenario, it's a 1-for-1 and they get 2 Arc Charge. Best case scenario is so much better. And also, like, maybe you don't want to kill your things, or maybe you kill your units when they're almost dead, because then it's like, well, that dude's just a 2/1 right now. I'd rather get 2 Arc Charge when this dies. You get the luxury of playing with this card, right? So you can play this what it benefits you the most. Overall, I like Collapse, and I think you will see a lot of this played. Mortal Enemies is a card that overall is going to see tons of play, where Collapse has, goods and bads, possibly. Mortal Enemies is, it's a big one, and Strider's there, so I'm going to make a Strider.deck. Anyways, 2 MP for a legendary action, deal damage equal to the number of action cards used in this battle plus 1, split among all enemy units, maximum of 10. So basically, memory, 0 through 10, so this means it deals anywhere from 1 to 11 damage. If a unit is destroyed by this damage, randomly explore for option A, B, or C. Obviously, we already looked at A, B, and C, and all A, B, and C are pretty darn good cards in my opinion. This card is fantastic and might just be busted, where, yet again, I was talking about Collapse being like, oh, this is kind of good, play around. All you have to do is play some action cards, just Mortal Enemies, and it's great. Also, it only costs 2. So really, it's like, well, where does your memory count have to be? Well, let's see. We play like Trusting Suspicion, stuff like that. We're kind of used to like 2 MP giving us like 3 to 5 damage. So really, that would be anywhere from like 2 to 4 memory. That seems pretty darn easy in most any red deck. I will be playing this. You will be seeing this card a lot. And yep, red just gave a lot more deal damage effects. Oh, and then also you get to explore if something dies for a really good card. Just layer on layer on layer of sweet, sweet red goodness. Controlling 2 MP, Ryu looking not in the best shape right now, trying to control his inner demons. It says deal 4 damage to 1 enemy unit. So kind of like Trusting Suspicion. If a unit is destroyed by this damage, take 1 damage every 5 seconds, maximum 4 times, to your hero. So this is very similar to Trusting Suspicion. However, Trusting Suspicion, the downside is your opponent gets to draw a card to your EX pocket. This downside is you take 4 damage over the period of, every 5 seconds, 4 times. I'm not quite sure how to evaluate this card, because 4 damage is good. We obviously know that's good because we play Trusting Suspicion all the time, even though that has a downside of your opponent gets to draw a card. Most of the times they do, right? EX pocket is only 2 spots, so sometimes they don't get to draw that card, but usually they do. So what is a better downside to play with? Is this better or worse than Trusting Suspicion, where, hey, your opponent get to draw a card, or, okay, fine, I'll take 4 damage? I don't know, like, I tend to think, like, okay, fine, I'll take 4 damage, right? I played a really good card, I'll take 4 damage. But a lot of games of Teppen get grindy and go down to the wire, where how many times have you won where you're like 4 or less life and then your opponent's at 0? I don't know. This actually has me questioning, and I think it's close. And so I'm really excited. Tell me in the comments which one you think is better. Maybe you'll play more, but like, I don't think you're going to do, maybe you do 2-2, but like if you want to play 4 of them, I think you kind of do 3 and 1 or 3 and 2. Maybe it's 2-2. I'm excited about this. Push comes to shove, I'm going to be playing control to test it out, and then we'll kind of see. Rekindling of Life, 2 MP, Art Charge 2, return 1 friendly monster unit to the EX pocket, then give it -2 MP. Obviously, you're only playing this into a monster-centric deck. I don't think monster-centric decks are that good right now. Maybe they'll see more love with like Rathlos and some other cards in this set. If it is a thing, this is kind of nice because it's Art Charge 2 that helps you get to your hero power faster. It goes -2 MP, so this is kind of free. So basically, this is just like a reset for one of your monsters. However, the big question is monsters going to be a thing? Pulse of Destiny, 3 MP, Art Charge 2, give all enemy units increased damage this unit receives by +1. I don't really like this card, because guess what? I would rather be playing Trusting Suspicion or any just damage dealing effect. This is 3 MP, or we just have some legendaries that kind of do this effect, but also reduces damage that your red units take also, so I'm off this card hard. Desperate Struggle, 5 MP, Art Charge 1, deal 8 damage to 1 enemy unit. Any unit destroyed by this damage is removed from the game. This will not trigger death abilities. Art Charge 1 is fine, but that's kind of like a throwaway. Or not a throwaway, it's good. Deal 8 damage is so much to 1 enemy unit that you get to pick. That's so much damage. That's going to kill most anything. But it's 5 MP. 5 MP is a lot, and we have so many good 1, 2, 3 MP damage dealing effects that, yes, are not 8 MP, but I still don't see playing this. I don't think the increase a lot of 8 damage is worth the increase of MP. Thorough Investigation, 1 MP, give +1 attack to 1 friendly unit effective for 1 attack. Add 1 Thorough Investigation from your deck into your EX pocket. I don't really like this. I sometimes like the whole like, oh, you play a card, it tutors up another card, puts it into your EX pocket, you play that card, it puts another one to your EX pocket. That can be nice because there's just kind of this card advantage engine that's just like helping you play those cards. However, just +1 attack is not a lot of attack, and it's only for 1 attack. If it wasn't for the 1 attack clause, I could be on board with this card, but having it just be for 1 attack, I don't think this is worth a card slot, let alone 1 MP. Maybe it's worth 1 MP, but it's not worth a card slot when you can only have 30 cards in your deck. Someone to look up to. First, I love this art because I believe this is more the Street Fighter Alpha series, Ryu and Sakura art, where especially with Ryu, we kind of get this cool Ryu. Overall, I like our cool looking Ryu with his tattered clothes and stuff, but I kind of like that we're getting some, I believe, Alpha art up in here. 2 MP, it says, give all friendly red units attacking deal 2 damage to the unit in front. This card intrigues me. 1, because the art, I kind of want to play with it, so I get to see the art more. It only costs 2 MP, and I love 1 and 2 MP actions. Give all friendly red units, so it has to be in mono red or mostly mono red. So that is kind of a little downside, but whatever. Attacking deal 2 damage to the unit in front. That's just recursion, and it almost is kind of like a 2 damage crush, as it were. And that is pseudo evasion for all of your units. I like this, and I'm going to brew around with this. Fist of the Fire Waven, 1 MP, deal 2 damage to 1 enemy unit. This card could be fine, but we have Chain of Fists, so there's not much more to talk about this because there's just what I think is a purely better card than this. Brush, Galestorm, 2 MP, give 1 random red unit in your hand or EX pocket +1/+1 and rush. I don't know, sometimes random effects can be good, sometimes they're not. When I have pump spells, or things that give keywords and abilities to my units, I usually like to target the one that I want to do the most, but this is completely random. A positive of this is that your opponent can interact what's in your hand or EX pocket. Well, most of the times. I guess there are discard cards from your EX pocket, but most of the times. Because, you know, the worst feeling is like when you target one of your units that may be like a 3 MP unit with a pump action and your opponent fates to the unworthies it. So that does dodge it. +1/+1 in rush is pretty good. But is this better than like 2 MP give +2 attack? I don't know, but Rush is kind of nice because then you play that card with Rush, it just hits right away, and especially if it has attacking, with like, well, I guess Strider already has Rush. A lot of the things with attacking abilities already have Rush, so I don't know. Galestorm could be good, could not be good, it's kind of right on that edge. Light Sword, 3 MP, give +2 attack and agility for 10 seconds to one friendly unit. I'm off this card. It's 3 MP. I like my pump spells to be 1 and 2 MP, or 3 MP has to do a lot. 2 attack is nice, and ooh, I saw agility and I was like, yes, I love agility +2 attack. We're doing it. It's only for 10 seconds. That's 2 attack cycles. And yes, 2 attack cycles could have your opponent killed, but I don't know. I think that's a big downside. And it's also 3 MP. Maybe if this was 2 MP, I'd be more on board. But up next, we have the very last red card. It is Contact with the Divine. I like this art. It is 3 MP, inflict seal on one friendly unit. When I first read this, I thought it was enemy unit. I was like, this card is broken. But it is inflict seal on one friendly unit, so a downside. However, it says, and deal 7 damage to one random enemy unit. 7 damage is a lot. It is to one random enemy unit, though. You don't get to target it, but you do get to target what friendly unit you do inflict with seal. So I don't know, like 3 MP is, yet again, it's not 1 or 2 MP, but 3 MP is, it could be good. There are some red cards that you wouldn't mind sealing, like with the ETB Explore, like well, I guess Hellbat has flight. Hellbat wouldn't be the worst. So you have some targets to seal, but a lot of red cards have a lot of value and a lot of keywords that you want to keep around. So not quite sure if you want to be doing that game. And the dealing 7 damage is very good, but you don't get to target it. And that's not that great. So I don't know. Is this better than 2 MP cards that maybe have a little downside but deal like 4 or 5 MP? Well, you're getting more damage, but is that downside more? And also it just costs 1 more MP. So the more that I talk about this card, the more I'm kind of off of it. Or not off of it, where maybe this is like a one of, but I think it has a lot of downsides where other things are just way more efficient. Anyhow, that is all the red cards. Red had a lot of powerful things, a lot of mediocre things, and quite a few things that are like, well, there's just better versions of this card already. However, I think that's going to be a common theme with all the colors, is some cards that you're going to be really excited for and some cards that are like, well, there's just better versions, because guess what? That's why we needed a rotation, because I'm sick and tired of reading these cards and being like, well, this card is good, but we still have this card in standard from Day of Nightmares or the Force Seekers or something like that that should be rotated out, because rotation helps to shine a light on the newer cards, because, hey, then standard is less powerful, so less powerful cards can be seen play in standard and still be really good and not feel bad, because some of these cards are good, they're just not good enough when standard is so many sets and so powerful. However, that's enough about my little sad rant until we have May. I'm looking forward to looking at all the green cards next. Thank you all for watching. I'll see you all for the green.